Hey everybody, welcome to Lights, Camera, Action. I'm Allison Howard, and we are having a new show where we talk to new actors in the area and about their different projects and different things that are coming up with them. It's surprising because you wouldn't necessarily think of Washington, D.C. as an area that would have a large amount of actors, but there's a large amount of them around here. You don't only have to be in New York or LA to be a working actor. And so we're going to meet two of them today. This is Caroline O'Grady and Comelita Payton.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. It's nice having you guys here.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me, both of you, well, one at a time, how did you get into acting?
Well, I actually started off as a singer, and from there went to musical theater. From musical theater, went to theater, and then from theater went to film.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And how about you?
Well, I started having this desire as a child. I always wanted to be an actress. So I went from having a summer program where I studied musical theater, and then I went from there to college, and I graduated with a degree in theater arts.
Okay, so you graduated with a degree in theater arts. Now, you did as well.
Yep, I have a degree in theater.
Wow. So that's great. So it's great that you guys were able to follow a passion that you guys have always had. So tell me, is there anything that's coming up that you guys are working on, or anything like that? Comelita?
Well, there is a new movie that I'm working on. It's called I Am an American, and we're in production now, so we hope to have it wrapped and finished by 2013.
Okay.
And in that movie, I play attorney Carmen, and it's a bit of a comedy, and it's pretty interesting. It's about an African who comes to America in pursuit of the American dream, and he wants to be a recording artist. So
That's great. Now, how did you find out about that project?
I saw a casting call for it, and I applied for it, and sent my submissions. And
Had you ever worked with any of those people before, or were they just a new group of people that you had never met before?
it was, I would say, a little bit of both. Some of the actors are some of the local DMV actors that I've worked with before, but the production itself, no, I've never worked with the company.
Yeah, and how, is it going well?
It's going great, great.
Good.
Yes, I'm very excited to do it.
Good, that's so exciting for you. I love hearing about new things. Now, how about Caroline? What are you working on?
I am actually working on a new web series. It's called Confab, and it's about college students in D.C. And basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to recreate those old sitcoms like Friends and Cheers and all that really good stuff that used to be on TV that isn't. But it's a web series, so anyone can watch it. It's going to be, posted on YouTube. We also have a actual website that's confab.com.
That's great.
It's a comedy, and in it I play the sorority type girl, but she also kind of has like she's a sorority girl, but she has a sort of like weird side to her too. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I was an actual sorority girl, so whenever I hear that people are playing sorority girls, I get a little bit nervous because I don't know if they're which extreme they're playing.
Oh, it's pretty extreme.
Oh, really? Now, have you ever worked with any of these people before, and how did you find out about the project?
I found out about it on Actor Center, which is a online database for actors in the DMV, and went to the casting call a while ago. And it's sort of been a project that we're all kind of developing together. We just raised a ton of money to put together the production. We start filming in March, so it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be really funny. We already have a teaser out that's pretty funny. So
That's awesome. So now, one thing that I thought was really interesting when I first started getting into this was how long it takes for things to actually happen. So you'll get a casting call, you'll go to the casting call, and then you'll wait however many weeks, sometimes even a month before you hear back. What's the longest time frame you've gone before hearing back that you got a part?
oh, so long.
I probably have waited maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah, not too bad.
I feel like that's so long.
Oh, I've had like months. Literally, they call and they're like, "Oh, hey, we want you to come back in for da 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 da," and you're like, "What? I don't remember that one.
Which project was that?
Wait, remind me?
Yeah. When did I audition for that? But the worst part about it is that you don't want to pretend like you
Right,
don't
right,
know
obviously.
them. So you have
Yes.
to talk to them and then figure it out
Yeah.
through the conversation. That's always a little bit difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So between the two of you, you guys sound like you guys have been working for a while, but there probably are some roles that you guys would like to delve into at some point in your career. So if you could play any type of role, anything at all, what would it be?
I probably would want to play a superhero, you know,
That's
just
awesome. Like X-Men?
something like that. Yeah, I figured
Or
if,
The
if
Incredibles.
Halle Berry can do it as
Yeah.
Storm, then why not Comelita Payton?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it would be pretty awesome. It would definitely be a challenge because you have to get into the physical, you know, the combat learning, all of that.
The
You know,
makeup,
Yeah, all of that. The makeup and
the costume.
costumes and learning how to fight and whatever. But it would be pretty interesting. I would love it.
Now, what would be your superhero ability that you would want to be able to do?
Oh, probably to be able to see into the future and to warn people ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great story. I'm already thinking of things in my head as to where the screenplay could go. What about you?
I would kind of have to agree. I would say some sort of action, like film, maybe like with a little mystery, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that would be a lot of fun, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Those dramas and mysteries and action-packed films are always the ones that are that draw the biggest audiences. So that would be a great thing to do. So each of you guys, like I said, have been working for a while, and you guys have gone on probably hundreds of auditions. What is the scariest part about an audition?
I would say the scariest part about an audition is when you walk and you really don't know, like the unknown. I mean, there's so many things that you really can't control, and you kind of have to accept that as an actor, that you can't control the fact that they might want to cast this person and you're taller than them and they need someone shorter, or they already cast 3 blondes and they need some brunettes. You know, there's a lot of things out of your control, and it's just being able to accept that and just do the best thing that you can. But also another scary thing is when they throw stuff at you and you're not expecting it. And they're like, actually, can you do this? Or why don't you read this? And they're like, go. And you're like, ah.
I agree with Caroline. Walking in and not knowing how many people are going to be there in the room waiting to judge you, you know, to audition you. I think the most I've ever had to deal with was probably about 7 to 8 people. So the whole time I'm sitting outside of the room just, you know, reading, going over my monologue, and I walk in and I'm like, oh my God, where are these people coming from? Oh, so many people. But now I've learned to embrace that. I've learned to look at auditioning as a chance to shine, you know, to perform. It's just relax and be yourself because you know it. I keep telling myself, I know this. I know how to do it. I've gone over this monologue like hundreds of times. I could do it.
Yeah.
So it's the unknown, you know, just being fearful of that.
Yeah. And absolutely the part where, I mean, really the moment that you walk into the door, your audition starts. And you have to keep that in mind. And a lot of times they will make those decisions based on their very, very first couple of seconds that they meet you. So walking in there and being able to like walk and carry yourself and be like, this is who I am, and show off exactly what you can do in, you know, 60 seconds is pretty wild. So
Yeah.
You should be professional at all times because like Caroline said, the minute you walk in, it's like you're being screened.
Now, is that something that you guys ever expected when you guys were first coming into the whole audition process and coming into the entertainment industry, that everything that you did, maybe the way that you even dressed or the way that you presented yourself was going to be something that was going to impact whether or not you were going to get a role? Was that something that you were prepared for, or was it something that you kind of learned along the way? Did anybody ever give you any sort of like advice when you were first coming into it, or was that just kind of like, wow, I had no idea that I should have worn a dress as opposed to jeans or whatever?
Well, I think some of that I've learned, I guess by trial and error, just going into it. But I have I would say it's a little of both. I was told, ahead of time, okay, when you go to an audition, this is what you do. Like, for instance, when they say, what's the word that they say? When you give your name, I ought to know this.
Slate your name.
Slate, yeah. So, we're taught that also, but there are some times when you're a little nervous and you may forget certain things, like, oh my God, did I do it right? Did I say my name loud enough? Was it clear enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was so lucky my senior year to have taken this audition workshop, and I would have not known half the things that we learned in it, just from, the way that you walk into a room and the way that you say your name and you find your focus point, and you leave some time between introducing who you are and going into character, and then especially for film, what it means to slate, and they just go, all right, slate, and if you don't know what that means, then you could be like, ah. And then the way that you should stand against the camera, and you need to not be totally straight on.
Right.
Sound, like all that sort of stuff is, it's like stuff that you learn along the way. A lot of it is just constantly doing stuff in front of the camera, watching yourself, and judging. So.
Right. Now, when you guys go into auditions, a lot of times one of the requirements is to bring a monologue. How do you guys feel about monologues? Do you like them? Do you think that it really can give a casting director and a director a good, idea as to what type of range you have? Or do you think that it's more important to be able to work off your feet if you're given sides, which is like part of a script? If you're watching, you don't know what that means. So would you prefer to go into an audition and have a prepared monologue, or get sides and read them cold?
I would prefer monologue,
Really?
I guess. You have a little bit more control with that.
That's true.
The challenge of the monologue is actually picking the right monologue for you, and picking a monologue that in 60 to 90 seconds you can show a good range of ability.
Right.
I think that's the hardest part, is one, finding a good monologue, two, finding a good monologue that not everyone else does.
know.
Because nothing is worse than walking into a room after another actor and being like, hi, I'm going to do the same thing she did. So.
I agree.
Really?
Already having something prepared, because you're comfortable with it and you've done it before. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when you're given sides, you're showing the producer or the director that you can conquer that challenge. You can also show them, okay, another side. So and so have done it this way, but I'm going to try it in a different way, a different approach to it. So it works both ways.
And see, I so much prefer sides and having to do a cold read, because I feel like once you get into the room, you'll have an idea as to what the project is, and even if you come up with an idea about the character that you're reading for, even if it's not the type of character that the director and casting director were necessarily looking for, it's a different interpretation. So then they can give you direction and see how well you can follow direction, if you can work well with them, as opposed to just coming in with a monologue. I don't know. I'm not a fan of monologues. Personally, if I were to be casting a film, I would do sides.
Yeah.
And have them read with that, because I think that type of interaction on camera is something that you can't really...
Absolutely.
You can't really fake that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but speaking of casting directors and all that type of stuff, are there any other aspects of film that you guys would want to explore?
I would love to get into directing and producing, just so I can get my hands, working with that, because I've never done it before. And I figured, it'd be pretty interesting to do, to learn a lot about what goes on behind the scenes with putting together a show, a film, and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
There are so many steps that go into making a film. I don't necessarily think that the public has an idea as to how much work is put in, which is why when I was saying, like, the whole time that you wait from an audition to finding out that when you get the part, it almost takes like 6 times as long once the film wraps to then be able to see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The time frames are just so strung out.
Yeah, no, it's a whole lot of hurry up and wait in
Yes.
film. And I think people don't understand that, and they kind of love the fact, like a lot of my coworkers and a lot of my family love that I'm in film, and they think it's really exciting, but it's actually the most unglamorous process ever.
Yes.
There's nothing glamorous about it. You're standing on set for hours. They're filming you walk down a hallway 20 times. You know, it's the slowest, just hurry up and wait process ever. And I think people don't understand that.
No, they don't, because all they see is the finished product.
Exactly.
But when you actually work in film, and when you're like an extra in a big film, or if you have a part in a big film, you realize how long it takes. But what other aspects of film do you think you would like to get into or try?
I actually filmed a documentary when I was in college.
Oh, wow.
I filmed a documentary. I was in South Africa working with at-risk youth, and filmed a documentary about the work we did down there and their lives to help raise money. And so I was lugging all my own camera equipment in this, you know, town that had no roads.
Amazing.
And then I got back to the U.S. and worked with someone who kind of knew the editing process better than I did to pretty much edit together this 15-minute documentary. Wow. And that was enough for me. I sat there and I had to log about 36 hours of footage and then go back, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I'm really happy with the final product, but that was sort of like, okay, I'm ready to be on the other side of the camera.
Right. That's crazy. I had no idea that you did that. Now documentary is I feel like is a little bit different than feature film, but would you ever consider being like a director? Or like
right now, no, but maybe
or
once
a casting
I kind
director?
of got more into the industry, I would probably consider it.
Right, because that's something that I find interesting, is that when people start off in one aspect of the business, they end up kind of branching out into several different parts of it, which I think is great, because then, I mean, they're never really out of work, and whenever they don't have acting work, well, they can find a project to produce or to direct or whatever, so that they can continue to stay involved, which I think is great. So this is my personal favorite, is always hearing funny and embarrassing stories that have ever happened to people, because there are always going to be things that are on the bloopers that people don't see. So if each of you could share with me your favorite funny or embarrassing story. It could have happened in like an audition, on set, at a premiere, whenever. Do you have any?
Do you want to go first?
You go first.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have to say I have a top 3 oddest things that I've done for film. The first one would have to be playing dead at my own character's funeral, which was just, I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun, but a lot of people could think that was very morbid.
Did they do like a lot of makeup?
Yep, they did. They brought everything down, so I looked really pale, and I laid in a coffin for about 6 hours of filming.
Not that bad, though.
No, it's not. I actually fell asleep during some of it, which was fine, as long as I wasn't snoring or, anything like that. But that was definitely kind of odd, and it was, the whole thing was set up with flowers, and there's this big photo of me, and well, not me, my character. The second oddest thing that I did was I played a role as a child prostitute.
That bitch was being petty over $5.
Don't worry about it.
I don't like to owe anything to anybody.
You don't owe me anything.
And that was probably the biggest stretch role-wise that I've done, both the age and just the character type.
How did you become prepared to play a role of somebody who's younger than you? Like, what type of physical characteristics did you take on? Like, did you change your voice? Did you walk differently?
Yep. A lot of it was definitely the voice hitting a different range. She was actually Southern, so I actually brought in more of a twang into all of her lines. A lot of chewing gum. We went through so many packs of gum on set.
That's so funny.
And then, once we were actually filming, it was a lot of, like, I didn't wash my hair for a week and a half leading up to, it was lovely, leading up to the filming, because she essentially lives on the street and she's kind of gross and dirty, and so that was something that I sacrificed for the role. But yeah, it was a great experience.
Wow.
And then probably the last really weird thing that I did is I had to walk a goat for a film.
Was it like a pet goat, or was this for like a
They
fair?
brought in this goat from this farm in like Virginia, and we were doing a street scene that was on M Street right in D.C.
You walked a goat on M Street.
Yes, I did. And sometimes the goat wouldn't
my.
go, like literally it was like action. And the goat and I had to walk, half a block, and they were following us with a camera that was rigged to a pulley. And they would say action, and I would go, and the goat would be like, no. Because it wasn't necessarily a trained animal.
Right.
It's a goat. So we were trying to
my.
like bait it with Captain Crunch and stuff like that, but that was very odd.
Oh my. Well, maybe. Do you
Well-
have any crazy stories?
I have one embarrassing moment that I can remember.
I love embarrassing. Personally, that's
I
just
was
me.
I was on the set shooting a short,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a scene where I was in a courthouse. I was one of the, what do you call the people attending the court? I don't
Jury.
know. Yeah, the jury.
The jury.
And I was sitting there, and I remember my stomach was just growling so loud.
Oh
I was like, that's right, I didn't eat breakfast today. And it was super loud. It was so embarrassing.
Did any of the mics pick it up or anything? Do you know?
Yes, it was so embarrassing because I remember the cameraman saying, quiet on the set. So I was thinking, I hope he's not talking about me. And there was another actor sitting beside me, so of course he heard it. So the whole time he's cracking up laughing, and he's like just bawling over. I'm like, shh. I'm like, shut up, stomach, please be quiet. But that was like the most embarrassing moment that I could remember.
Well, I mean, you guys certainly have some interesting stories, and I can't wait to hear about more of them when your careers get even bigger. And then we'll bring all of these things back when you guys make it big and famous. And we'll be like, remember the time you walked a goat, Caroline?
Oh, yeah.
Because I do. So, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about, or anything else you want to touch on, or anything?
Well, I would just like to say that my faith in God has truly brought me to this point. And I know that if it was not for him, I wouldn't have had the success I've had in my career. As far as my training, as far as going to school, college, I've taken a 6-week intense on-camera acting training.
Yeah.
And I just thank God for that. And I was just trying to think of what I could say to encourage other people in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, to never give up on your dream, never listen to doubters, because everybody's not going to believe in you. Everybody's not going to be in your corner. So faith is the key, and you should never give up. Never. Don't stop believing.
Absolutely.
Have you guys ever come across people that have been kind of naysayers towards this because they think it's not practical?
Oh, yes. Yes, they think,
Yeah.
oh, get a real job that pays. You're going to need something that's you're going to fall back on. In case if your acting doesn't work out, find something else. You have a college degree, get a 9 to 5. I'm like, but this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the hardest part is you go to so many auditions, and you just have to keep on believing in yourself, because you will attend, if you really, really want to work in this industry, then you will work in this industry. You will find a way to do it.
Right.
But it's about, putting the time and effort into it. I mean, on a usual Saturday, I will go to 4 to 5 auditions in one day. It's about hitting the pavement. And out of those, 4 to 5 auditions on a day, maybe I'll get one.
Right.
And you can't let that get to you, because the minute that you let that get to you, then you're just going to lose all your confidence.
Right.
So I would say, for people who are interested in this career and pursuing this, absolutely go for it.
Right.
If it's your passion, but be prepared that there is a lot of effort and there is a lot of work you need to put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, considering that this is a much smaller market than that of Los Angeles and New York, are you guys considering making the move to either one of those cities, or are you pretty content with what we have going on here? Because I know there's a lot of work that's coming to Baltimore soon, because HBO films a lot of things there. You guys heard about the new Netflix series that's going to be up in Baltimore. But are you guys thinking about maybe taking that step and going to New York or Los Angeles, or do you want to continue building your resume here?
Well, I'm pretty open. I'm flexible. Here has being home. I've gotten a lot of work, but
Yeah.
I would still love to go off, and wherever it takes me, wherever the road to success takes me. So I'm open for it.
So out of those two cities, though,
Oh,
the
between
two
New
hubs,
York and
and LA, which one do you think you'd go for more?
probably LA.
LA?
I would love to go there and work on some more films. I would.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. I think it'd be awesome. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
For me, I think New York. I don't really know LA that much, but I do know that there is still a lot of filming that goes on the East Coast, and I think New York would probably be the next best step for me.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if we really touched on how much theater work that you guys have done, or if that's something that you would want to do, but would you guys ever consider dabbling kind of in theater as well? So like, let's say if you went to New York and you brought back the musical theater, would you ever consider going on Broadway and like and trying to get into any of those shows?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the original goal,
Oh,
was
wow.
to pursue theater. And then, my senior year in college, one of my acting professors said, "You're going to do film and TV." And I go, no, I'm not. That's funny. Why would I do that? I don't have any training in it. And certainly right after I got out of school, after, my first couple of auditions, I got all my TV film jobs.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of been this thing that I'm like, okay, this wasn't the original plan, but we're going to roll with it anyway and see where it goes. But yes, absolutely. I love live theater and that rush that you get from being on stage. I mean, nothing in film and TV really mimics that.
Right. There's like with the audience interaction and like the immediate response, you know if you're bad and you know if you're good. Like you know when things are a flop and when things are a good thing. But there was one other question that I wanted to ask you guys. I don't remember what it was when I got on that tangent. Do you guys have a preference, I guess, in whether or not you do like commercials or industrials? Have you guys ever dabbled in any of that, or have you done really only like short films and stuff?
I've done both.
You've done both?
I love commercials.
You love
I think
commercials?
it's fun.
Do you like
yes.
industrials?
I do. But
They're a little bit drier.
Yeah, they are.
They're a little bit more scripted.
Absolutely.
But I enjoy it though. I think with commercials, it's just, I don't know, you can go into a different character, and I don't know, one minute you're playing someone shopping at a store, at a grocery store. Another minute you're playing, let's say, someone at a house party where you're the hostess of the party, of a wine party or so forth. I did that once. I was in a commercial called Bay Ridge Wine and Spirits, and I was a guest, and so we had to hold these wine bottles and so forth, and it was just pretty interesting. It was fun. It really was.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to have to wrap up with this episode. It's been so great having you guys on my first episode of Lights, Camera, Action.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. And when you guys have more projects, and if you guys ever want to come back on, I would love to hear about how your guys' careers are progressing. And this has been Lights, Camera, Action with Allison Howard. See you next week.
That was so much fun.
It was great.
This was so much fun. Yeah. You did fine. You were so nervous, but you were okay. You did a good job.
Great.